So if you're having trouble sleeping on an extended fast, know that there's a lot of people that are actually going to sleep better when they do an extended fast. But even though that's the case, there are some factors that can really magnify insomnia or create insomnia for some people when they do an extended fast, no matter what your fasting guru tells you. And once you understand these, not only will the lack of sleep make total sense to you, but you'll understand steps that you can take to turn the situation around. Let's jump in.
T.C. Hale is not a doctor and does not claim to be a doctor or licensed in any type of medical field. Don't be an idiot and use anything heard on the show as medical advice. This information should be used for educational purposes only, and you should contact your doctor for any medical advice. Now get off me.
So it was over on the short version of our video on how poor digestion can cause emotional eating issues that it was user Fernando something other 69, I don't know what it was, says, changing the subject, sorry, why is it hard to get some good sleep on an extended fast? So let's talk about this a little bit. The reality is that you can't take the fact that people have been using extended fasts for centuries successfully to make it say, oh, that everybody should do this because people have been doing this for centuries successfully, so just shut up and don't eat anything. The reality is that the body that we're using today is a lot different than the body people were using centuries ago. We have Frankensteined all of our food supply and all these things that we put into the body, all these things that we're exposed to in our environment. The body is a little bit broken compared to how it worked a long time ago. It's operating differently. So it's going to have different things that can come up for some people. So the reality is when we're looking at extended fasting and when we're looking at insomnia specifically, for any type of trouble sleeping, there's actually a variety of imbalances or malfunctions that can create this for people. And that's why insomnia is so hard for so many people to correct, because they're trying to use some remedy that helped for someone else, but it's making their insomnia worse. So you really have to look at your body chemistry to understand what's going on with you instead of just trying to do what all the cool kids do. So let's look at some of these imbalances that can go on that can create insomnia and why an extended fast has the ability to magnify the few that we'll talk about here. And if you're new to this channel, if you don't know how to look at your own body chemistry to understand what may be going on, I'll put a link in the description below for my book, Kick Your Fat in the Nuts, so you can download that whole thing totally for free. And that'll walk you through some simple self-tests that you can do at home with tools that you pick up like at a pharmacy or a health food store that can help you get an idea of are there imbalances going on in your body that could be creating some trouble. These tests that you do at home are not diagnostic things, but they can give you an idea of what may be going wrong. So the first thing that we want to talk about is what we call a catabolic imbalance. And one of the biggest benefits that can come from an extended fast is this autophagy that everybody talks about. And it really has the ability to create some benefits. It's this situation where basically the body's going to break down these old cells so that they can be renewed. And now the body is renewed. And so that really helps the body stay younger and function more and be better and all these things that we really want it to do. The problem is just because something is good doesn't mean a whole lot of that is better. I'm going to put a link in the description below this video to this study on the beneficial and adverse effects of autophagic response to caloric restriction and fasting. And they help us understand that even though there can be a lot of benefits from autophagy and the body kind of spring-loading this situation where it's going to renew itself, that doesn't mean that a whole lot of that is always better. And what we really need to understand is that for some people, really kickstarting this in any way can create a whole lot of trouble. So when we're looking at this catabolic imbalance, what we need to understand is that this body breaking down old tissues is something that it does at a little bit of a lower level every day. That's what happens during the catabolic state at the cellular level, is the body breaks itself down so that it can rebuild and renew. So it's supposed to do that during the day. That's when we should be in this catabolic state. And then at night, we move into an anabolic state where the body is very good at sleeping and resting, but also rebuilding and repairing. The problem is some people can get really stuck in one of these states, and they have a hard time moving back and forth from day to night like they're supposed to. So if a person's really stuck in this catabolic state, they're already having the body break itself down way too much. They're not moving into this rebuild and repair state at night like they're supposed to. And then when we go into this extended fast where we're really going to magnify this autophagy situation, well, we're really magnifying the catabolic state of the body. So for some people, that's going to push them really far into this catabolic state where the body's really in the awake mode. Go, go, go. It's daytime. We're supposed to be doing things. Let's make it happen. Why would you be able to sleep if you're really stuck in that state? I was an insomniac for a really long time, and this was because I was really stuck in this catabolic state. Another imbalance that can come about is someone can have a really low level of electrolytes in the system, and the body needs electrolytes to run all these functions that it has to run. But a lot of people aren't bringing in enough electrolytes, or they might be peeing out too much. And usually they're not bringing in enough because they're not digesting their food correctly and really breaking it down to access all the nutrients in that food. So let's say that somebody doesn't have enough nutrients because they're having these malfunctions in the body. They don't have enough minerals, electrolytes, all these resources that the body needs. So now they're going to not eat any food. Well, they're going to bring in even less. So now the body's like, hey, I need stuff. And now you're bringing in even less? Well, that's not really going to help me out at all. The body's really going to freak out. And when we see insomnia with this specific situation, it can just be viewed like the body's saying, hey, we kind of got an emergency going on here. We're running out of stuff. Go do something about it. Get up. Go fix the problem. And when they can help the body get all the resources it needs, all of a sudden they're able to sleep. So with this specific issue, even if someone's just on the edge, maybe they're not having sleep trouble, but if their electrolytes are really low, maybe they can function, but as soon as you put a decrease in there at all, it starts to create sleep troubles for them. And when it comes to this specific problem, one of the other issues that extended fasting can bring about is that extended fasting often will bring insulin really low. And this is one of the biggest benefits of extended fasting, allowing insulin to come down, all the inflammation that high insulin is creating for people that are not really eating the right way or they're more insulin resistant and such. So bringing insulin down can be a big benefit. But for some people, bringing insulin too low can cause them to pee out more minerals. So their minerals are already low, and now they're being put in this situation where they're going to pee out even more. So you can see the body really gets into this emergency in that situation. And that brings us to the third issue, is what's called a sympathetic imbalance. And this has to do with the autonomic nervous system that kind of runs a lot of the show behind the curtains. There's a parasympathetic rest and digest state, and then a sympathetic fight and flight state. So when the body is presented with some type of stress or, emergency type situation, it will move into this sympathetic state and change the way that the body's operating to optimize for survival. If you're being chased by a lion, the body's going to move into this state. It's going to make more glucose and give you more immediate energy and help you run away from this lion to survive. The problem is some people get really stuck in this sympathetic state, either because of stress in their life or stress in their body. If they're stressed in the body, that can push them into this state and they can get stuck in this state. And why would a person be able to sleep great if they were stuck in this state? The body's in an emergency. It's like, hey, we got to survive. Why would you have great sleep at that time? So when someone's stuck in this state, it can really affect their sleep. And we have to understand that extended fasting is a stress on the body. That's what brings some of the benefits. It's kind of like a workout. A workout is a stress on the body, and the body benefits as it recovers from that stress. But you wouldn't work out and be like, hey, how come I can't sleep while I'm working out? That would make sense to you. But for some people, not all people, but for some people, an extended fast is a similar stress on the body. Maybe the body already doesn't have enough resources. Maybe the body's already stuck in this fight or flight state. So this little bit of stress that we're putting on the body is really pushing them over the edge. And now there's no way they're going to sleep because they're kind of freaking out. And the stresses that can come up can kind of depend on how a person's body is operating. Are they even fasting the right way? If a person is eating toaster pastries and ding-dongs on Friday, and then they're going to start an extended fast on Saturday, well, they're not doing it right. They're pulling their body out of its ability to access stored fat for fuel. And if your body can't access stored fat for fuel while it's fasting, well, it doesn't have a fuel source. So it pretty much has to eat itself. It just has to break itself down and make its own glucose and do all these things that you don't really want it doing. So we only like to see people use fasting when their body is set up to succeed on the fasting. If this is new information for you, we'll put a link in the description below for our video on 5 types of people who should not use intermittent fasting, and that'll give you some ideas of some imbalances or malfunctions that you might need to correct in order to really get the benefit from fasting. So if you're having trouble sleeping on these extended fasts, what you want to do is you want to look at your body chemistry to see, are one of these imbalances showing up for you? If you are, then you could simply just take steps to improve that particular imbalance, and then you should be able to be more successful when you're fasting. So you can see what steps are going to work is going to be different from person to person. I can't tell you what to do because I don't know where your body chemistry is. The problem is, you just don't want to view it like, oh man, they say that extended fasting should help me sleep better. So just know that if you're doing these extended fasts and you can't sleep, you're choosing to listen to some fasting guru who says, hey, this worked great for me, it's going to work great for everybody, instead of listening to your body that's trying to tell you, hey, this really isn't going so great, might want to make some changes here. So just learn to listen to your body and work with your body instead of against it. So you can download my book for free in the description to learn how to look at those tests for yourself and get an idea if you're dealing with those imbalances. And if you want to learn more about how those issues can create problems for sleep, I'll put a link in the description below for our video on how to fix insomnia for good. But for now, to understand why I'm not such a huge fan of extended fasting, even though people will say, oh man, it gives your digestion time to rest and kind of fix these problems, in this video, I'll help you understand why helping your digestion rest for some aspects of digestion is the last thing you want to do. So you can jump over now and check out our video on prolonged fasting problems for gallstones and gallbladder sludge. I hope this helps.